The truth behind Mika Zibanejad's future in New York has been revealed, and we get some insight from an insider on where Mika Zibanejad will be playing next season, and the answer will surprise Rangers fans. We're going to break that down and what this means for the Rangers heading into next season and ahead of a very busy August in the NHL calendar, because a lot of teams are poised to do a lot of very interesting things. We're going to break that all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 77% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on with the New York Rangers, this channel is built for blue shirt fandom. So go down below, hit that free subscribe button, because this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. But let's jump right into it. We do have an update on Mika Zibanejad and where he'll be playing next season, and where that is, I believe it's going to be in New York, and it's going to be on the wing for the New York Rangers. But we'll get into why that is the case here in a second, because we have a bunch of updates to go over today. Now, first of all, I'm not going to cover some of what's in here. Brett is actually going to have another video later today or tomorrow on a lot of these updates, because there's a lot going on with development camp, what's going on with Hartford, and of course, Panarin. There's a huge update on Panarin, so make sure to check out that video as well. But the New York Rangers have been shaping up for the 2026 offseason. I thought that's very interesting. So they're making sure they're in good shape for next year. But the one thing that's standing out to me, and a big question mark, because, there was a lot of, news coming out around the draft about this, and just before the draft about Mika Zibanejad, sounds like he's staying in New York, and Mike Sullivan believes he can get more out of Mika Zibanejad, which I'm excited about, because if he is going to stay, I think he's actually going to have a better year, and I think that Mike Sullivan is actually going to be able to work with this player better than other coaches have in the past. And I know you're probably rolling your eyes at that. This core has already gone through, 4 coaches at this point. This will be maybe their 5th. I think Mika Zibanejad's had probably 5th coach already with the Rangers. So not great, but Elliot Freeman, he said that it's very clear that the Rangers, and we broke this down in a video the other day, and I was wondering if, working with Mika meant maybe trying to find a destination for him, a different destination, or is it working with him in terms of where he fits on the team? And I think it's the second one. So working with Mika Zibanejad, they're trying to figure out a way to make it work. You never know if it'll continue, but the bottom line is this season is not starting the way the last 2 did. So there's really 2 ways this is going to go down, by the way. He's going to come into this season, and they are going to find a way to utilize him properly, right? And everything's going to be great, and that's best case scenario, and that's awesome. That's awesome. That is one way it's going to go. Or the other way it's going to go, he's going to come into training camp. Maybe he even starts the season on the team. Maybe he's playing third line center, which I don't think is actually the plan. I'll get to that in a second, but maybe he plays third line center. Things are not going great. There's a lot of trade chatter. He feels uncomfortable, and then they end up moving him. But let me tell you, it's going to be a lot harder to move his 8.5 in season than it is in the off season right now. It's going to be way more difficult to do that. So many more teams are going to be right up against the cap. That's not the way to do it. So it's going to go one of 2 ways, and then they're not even going to be able to trade him in season. So they really got to make a decision on this, and I feel like the decision that they're leaning towards right now is keeping him, and that he should play on the wing. And I've been saying that for a while. Brett's been saying it as well. You can see here from Blue Shirt Banter, center or wing, where should Mika Zibanejad play this season? DJ Zinbad isn't going to be traded, so where should he play? And that's been a question for a long time. So many people are talking about how Laviolette was not able to unlock Mika Zibanejad, and the fact that they were able to get to the 3rd round, right? And one time with Peter Laviolette, but wasn't really able to unlock and get the most out of this player. I'm really hoping Mike Sullivan can. Mike Sullivan's a great player. Also, keep in mind, Zibanejad had really, really good stretches last season for the New York Rangers. He was actually the best player in the entire National Hockey League in terms of point production from February 1st to March 1st. So keep that in mind. As soon as JT Miller became his centerman and he was not playing center anymore, he was the best player in the league in terms of point production for an entire month. So, he still has it. We saw what he did at the World Hockey Championships too for Sweden. When he's in his happy place, this is still a really good player, and I just don't think he can play center anymore. And I wanted to get into that. I mean, look at his defensive rating in terms of the advanced analytics, right? Offensively, 70 rating. This was for, last season heading into this season. Not great. You want more out of him, especially for that dollar amount, especially for the cap that he's taken up on this team. You want more out of him. And I do think, at stretches, especially in the second half, you saw that he can offer a little bit more. And I do want to bring up his stats from last season, because you can see here he played all 82 games last year. and he only had 62 points. This was a very disappointing year, but man, did he start it horribly, because he did actually finish pretty strong when he was a winger. And I kind of want to get into that now, because that's where I believe he will be playing next season. If he's going to be a New York Ranger, which it sounds like he's going to be, this guy, like pictured here on Puckpedia, this can happen. There's no way that this can happen next season. You can't have $8.5 million on your third line. I'll even go as far as to say they need to completely restructure the leadership team on this team as well. And Brett's going to have something on that in his video, so I want to tease that for a little bit of that. But I feel like some of the letter combinations should change in terms of who has a letter on their jersey heading into next season. You can't have a guy, making $8.5 million who kind of quit on the team last year, especially during the beginning half of the season when there was a lot of trade rumors, wearing a letter and setting an example for some of the younger guys. I think this is JT Miller's team at this point. But again, Brett's going to have more on that. But Zibanejad, $8.5 million on your third line as third line center makes no sense. He's got to play wing, and I think he will be unlocked if he plays the wing under Mike Sullivan, because Mike Sullivan is going to be able to work with this player, first of all. And then on top of it, he doesn't have to worry as much defensively. Winger is the easiest position in the entire sport. So, all he has to do is focus on putting up these points, which he was at times last season. Makes no sense for him to play center anymore. I don't even think he can in terms of the defensive side of the puck. I don't think he can based on what I saw last season. There were so many easy goals scored against the Rangers where it was literally, and I broke it down in videos during the season last year where I used actual video clips where I'm like, where is Mika Zibanejad going? The center scored. Where was he? And then you have Peter Laviolette saying that there was no structural problems with the team. There were so many problems with the team, and obviously a lot of the guys just weren't locked in. That was another problem in and of itself. But Mika Zibanejad can't play center, and I know this is from Puckpedia. This isn't set. We have no idea what the lineup's going to look like. They have to play together in training camp, a lot of these guys, and they're going to figure it out, right? Schneider's going to be on the left side, but he's going to be on the second pairing, right? He has to be. It wouldn't make sense otherwise. But although that third pairing there, as pictured there, could be a lot of fun to watch. But Zibanejad can't play center. Where's he going to play next year? It's going to be on the New York Rangers, and it's going to be second line right wing. Or whatever line has JT Miller on it, it's going to be on his wing, because they were really good together. I think that's the plan at this point in time. It's super difficult to trade him if he doesn't want to leave, of course. I do think that the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'll bring it up quickly before I end here, do have interest. Of course, you hear from Frank Saravalli that nobody's legitimately interested in Mika Zibanejad, that it's buyout proof. That was before the draft and free agency as well. And then you hear from Arthur Staple that the Leafs might have interest in Mika Zibanejad. And then you hear from Roger Hicks, which, take it with a grain of salt. This account throws a lot of stuff out there, and then of course sometimes you're going to be right if you say literally everything. So I have some information regarding Mika Zibanejad and a possible trade to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So again, take that with a grain of salt, but there's a lot of noise still. But one thing is for sure, Mika Zibanejad, I think, will be staying as a New York Ranger, will be staying in New York next season, and he will be playing the wing, because I don't think he can play center anymore, especially on the defensive side of the puck, and he was just really good with JT Miller. So stick those two together. I don't know who's going to be on the left wing. Maybe it's Lafreniere. Maybe Lafreniere should move back to the left wing. Maybe you could figure something out with that too. But it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing. But let me know in the comments how you feel about Zibanejad. It looks like he's going to be staying in New York, and hopefully he's playing on the wing if that is the case. Let me know how you feel about that. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.